am the rum-soaked pirate, also known as the creative pirate. And today we're gonna have a whole tutorial on how to design a blending machine from 2D to 3D, how to UV it, and then how to export it and get it ready for texturing. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go to when it starts the new scene, you're gonna go sorry about that. Maya preferences and make sure that your settings are in inches. Okay, save that. View, image plane, import an image. We're gonna go to my downloads folder and we're gonna pick the lavender blender that I picked out to do. As you can see, it is very tiny. It is less than 3 inches, and we want more than that. That's what she said. Sorry guys. So anyway, we're gonna take this, we're gonna center it as much as we can, not with the arrow but with the actual image, right around there. We're gonna press R, we're gonna push it up to a decent size. So let's say this is a bit bigger because some blenders are usually at least 16 to 24 inches tall. Let's say I want that. I'm happy with that. I'm not gonna go crazy. We're gonna press W. We're gonna push it into space, layer, create layer from selected, 1, 2. So now we're gonna hide our our grid. We don't need it because it's gonna interfere in what we're doing. And normally people would create this with a cylinder and go crazy. I don't want to do that right now. I want to show you a trick. I'm gonna take a plane, E, J, hold down J while I rotate. I'm gonna press R, I'm gonna scale it, I'm gonna bring it down, and this is what we're gonna do, right? As you can see, my reference is not rightly in the middle, so we're gonna have to move it to match this. I put the wireframe so we can see what we're doing. So we want it right in the middle of this box. You never move your work, the work that you're doing, you move the reference, right? So let's say we're gonna lock this up by pressing it twice, clicking off of it. Now we're gonna take this vertex, we're gonna take this down, push it here, right? And I want to take the edge, bring it down to here, shift click and drag, shift click and drag one more time to the base, right? And for the rest, we're gonna let ourselves be driven from this. The problem is that I tried to do this before with a cylinder and it crushes your edges, and we don't want that. So we're gonna go to object mode, we're gonna insert an edge loop, mesh tools, insert an edge loop, double click. We're gonna pop one right in the middle because we're gonna work in symmetry. So we're gonna pop one right in the middle, reset this vertex. We're gonna turn on our symmetry to the world X because we're working in the X. And now when you grab this and you push it, you're working in symmetry. We're gonna go a little bit longer because we do want this to wrap around, and then we'll modify it. It's like a piece of paper. We're gonna wrap this around and then we're gonna derive from here to do the rest. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work in symmetry. I think that my reference could move a little more because with that middle line, I see that it's still not, it's just a tad off. Okay, I'm happy with that. Again, always move your reference, never move your geometry because it's perfectly in the road. The reference is just imported. So here we go. We're gonna take one of these, insert an edge loop. We're gonna take one here, right? So now you're seeing that it's working. We're gonna take one here, one here. We're gonna pop one here, one up here, one in the middle, and then we're gonna keep doing this so we have more geometry here, and we're gonna add 6 in here, right? So we're gonna take this, press the number 6, and we're gonna pop it in here, right? And then what we're gonna do is vertex, we're gonna take this, and we're gonna push it over, so about there. So we're gonna zoom in, since we have 6 of these, so we're gonna zoom in, and we're gonna start pushing these into place. So we're gonna push this one here. The next pair, we're gonna push it right here. The next pair, we're gonna push it a little bit more. And then we're gonna take these two, and we're gonna press R, and we're gonna try to shrink it to give that nice oval shape. Right? So that's what we're getting right there. And then here, we're gonna click all these faces. And we're gonna circularize component. Now we're gonna press the radial offset. Okay. And then now we're gonna add more edge loops, because we want that circle to be perfect. We do not want so now you see that the Jesus Christ, the symmetry is not working. So we have to see, here we go. Now we have to change it to the object, because things change now. So now we have to change it to object. You see what happens? We don't want that, so we're gonna have to turn off the symmetry and turn it back on later. So you want one here, right? We're gonna click face, right click face. We're gonna select the first 4. Let me quit this. Let's click here. Face, we're gonna select these 4 faces. And if we hold down shift and period, it's gonna grow. And then shift click to add the rest that you need. I forgot some edge loops. Sorry guys. One more here. And one more here. Now go back to face, press Q, select all 4, shift, and we're gonna press the period, and there we go. One more time, shift right click, circularize that component. It's a perfect circle now. Command E, R, right? And about there is fine. And then, okay. So now, this is the trick. This we're gonna treat this like a piece of paper. We're gonna fold it in half, right? That's what I mentioned earlier. So what we're gonna do is deform, nonlinear, bend, and let's see what axis this is bending on. It probably is wrong most of the time. Yep, you see, it's not doing anything. So we're gonna twist this. Let's bend it so we can see where it's going. From the top, we're gonna hold down J and twist it this way. I'm sorry, all the way around. Stay still. And that's the way you want it to curve, and we're gonna, that's not working. Why? If you answered because we don't have any extra edge loops, you're correct. That doesn't work that way. So what you're gonna have to do in a situation like this is add edge loops. We're gonna add 20 on each side. So let's add 20 edge loops here and here, right? Now you're gonna see the difference. I always do things on purpose so you can see and try to analyze what is going on with the picture. But, you know, that's the way things work. You have to try it out. So we're gonna bend a bit, select the bend, E, hold down J while we click and drag. And now, once we bend this, look at the difference. So I would leave a little bit of space. Okay, how will we? Okay, so I'm gonna show you what to do here. So in this case, let's go back and add, make it a bit wider. And the way we're gonna do this, we're gonna go backwards till we give it to the bend, edge, click, shift double click, click, shift double click, and then we're gonna what's going on here? Okay, we're gonna hold on R, shift click and drag, shift click and drag, shift click and drag, and shift click and drag one more time. And let's see if this works for us. Okay, now we go back to the form, nonlinear bend, bend a little bit, come from the top, E, hold down J and rotate, and let's see if that's wide enough. Let's complete the bend. We don't win, guys. Let's go back and delete that last extension and see what we get. Object mode. Let's put modify. Let's enter this pivot. Modify center pivot. Deform, nonlinear, bend. Let's try this one more time. This time it did it differently. Okay. So now we're gonna have to twist it this way and then straighten it out that way and complete the bend. Beautiful. Couldn't ask for anything better. Now, the only thing we have to do is we have to take this top, we have to press R and shrink it down. Oops. Why is this? The symmetry is off. Okay, let's do something first. I forgot to do something important. Once you're done with this, you're gonna do edit, delete by type history, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modify center. Now it should work. We're gonna take these vertices, we're gonna press R, we're gonna shrink it down. Here we go. And we're gonna leave it right there, that's fine. Now let's see if we can take this and we can shrink that a bit so we can get a smooth flowing edge. Okay, I think that's fine. I mean, in any case, let me see. Okay, that's fine. Edge. So we're gonna now see. So now we have where the button goes, and if we push and extrude this stuff, it's gonna work perfectly. That's more important right now. Edge. Huh, that's awkward. Okay, I'm gonna keep this. This is just basically we could get the gist of it later on. Edge. Okay, you see what's going on here? We have to merge these vertices. How do we do this? We vertex, we find out which one is in the middle, which is this one here. And you can tell because when you pull it away, it separates from the other one. You're gonna click merge vertices. And once you do it once, all you gotta do is select one and press G, 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 G. We're gonna have to get closer here. G, and what G is doing is repeating your last motion. And if we press 3, now we see that it's united. Nothing is off. There's no weird geometry. Now, see how clean that looks? So we can press 1. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this edge R, shift click and drag. Like I always say, you guys, I always try to make sure that there's extra geometry. Shift, and then we're gonna merge to the center. Now we're gonna click the face. From this angle, we're gonna select the faces. Shift click and drag to deselect. R, hold down shift click and drag and push it in. And now we're gonna take this edge. Shift right click bevel edge, and we're gonna add more segments to that. And we're gonna push it a bit. 5, 6 to give it nice and smooth. And I'm pretty happy with that. Mesh display, soften edge. So there's certain things you can do. If you can see, we have a bit of edging, but I guess that's all right. But if it bothers you, you can double click those edges and you can slide them a bit to give them some separation. And I wouldn't do that. Let's just leave it the way it is. We'll mess with this later anyway. Now we're gonna click edge and we're gonna try to form the inside of this. So we're gonna R, shift click and drag. W, shift click and drag down a bit. R, shift click and drag in. Let's see how accurate we can get this. W, shift. Okay, we need a bit more to shrink it a bit more. Let's see if that's right. Nope. Press R, shrink it a bit more. W, shift click and drag. Just a tiny more, guys. Perfect. Now we're gonna R, shift click and drag. Now here we're gonna have to see how we're gonna approach this. Because if you look here, we have with this inserts and there's, so let's just try this. So let's leave it there. Shift click and drag. Shift click and drag one more time and press W and shift click and drag up. Nope, a bit smaller. W, shift click and drag up, a bit tighter. W, shift click and drag up. That's perfect. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do something different. We're gonna shift right click, merge to the center, right? Nope. Less edge. Let's do this. Since we know it, that's where it's gonna go up. Let's go a little bit. What's going on here? Huh. Let's see what's going on here. Something happening. Let's do this. We're gonna close this hole, merge to center. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these faces and we're gonna paint them because it's easier than going crazy and trying to select. We're gonna paint. I'm just clicking and painting across it. I'm gonna do a test before I do anything else. I'm gonna push it up. Okay, that's perfect. And what we're gonna do is make sure that it's like this. Shift click and drag down. Why am I doing this? You know what? I am wrong. I have to push up. You know, I'm gonna have to make this a bit wider. So let's do this. Let's make sure this is still the same. I'm gonna press R just a little bit. I'm gonna press W, shift click and drag up to here where it's still purple. R, shift click and drag a bit tighter. And I'm gonna test it to see that it's the same width. I need it a bit wider. Let's try this. That's good enough for me. But instead of pulling up, I'm pushing down. Why? Because if you're doing this animated and this is one piece, the whole thing is gonna rotate. You don't want that. So what we do want is that piece, we're gonna, once it's selected, shift right click and we're gonna duplicate that face. Object mode Q. We're gonna take that one and we're gonna hide that piece. And now we're gonna start working on this. So if you're unhappy with the way that's signing up, you can take this. You can slide that edge and take away that thickness. Oops, sorry. We can slide edges around. We just have to be very careful, guys, because see, if we press here now, it's a bit cleaner. So edge, we can take edge and we can slide that up a bit. So as you can see, it's kind of smooth, I guess you can say that. It's smoothing out, which I'm happy with. So let's see how that looks. You see how cleaner it looks up here than down here? So you can do that all the way around. You just have to be careful. So you can double click and just shift click what you don't need because it's gonna mess up that circle. As long as that circle is fine, your geometry should be fine also. So let's click and drag that edge. So what I'm doing is, if you take a look at it, I'm getting rid of that extra stuff like here. You see that? We don't want that. I don't have to do any more. Just those two in the bottom. Just let me see what's in the bottom. Okay, so here we're gonna have to do the same thing. Edge. And let's see if this works. So I'm gonna deselect the ones that I'm not trying to move. But I don't think it's gonna work, but let's try it out anyway. And let's stretch these out. So we're gonna give it some nice geometry here. We're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna let it slide down so we can smooth out. So what I'm doing here, guys, basically I'm just making sure that the geometry doesn't look bunched up, because it's gonna be noticeable if you have highlights in your rendering. It's gonna be very noticeable, and we don't want that. We want everything to look as smooth as possible, because in real life, that is what we want. We want things to look realistic. So we're gonna do these two. And the reason I'm not touching those in the inside, guys, is because I need that shape. So I can't mess with that. So we're gonna push this out and look at the difference. Right? We have nice clean geometry. Let me see. Maybe that one could slide a little more. Yeah, I am gonna have to do that. So what I noticed was that I was still keeping that tight lip that I don't want. And that's not good for me. I'm very picky with my work. And I think I might have to work some in the middle, but maybe not. No, that's fine, guys. That's clean enough. So we have pretty clean geometry. When you see these hard edges, don't worry about it. I'll show you how to deal with that. So let's do some edge loops that we need. So 1, 2, bevel that edge. I said edge loops, guys. I'm sorry, it's beveling the edges. And I'm doing them by sections. So let's say you want something cooler there. If you do all of them all together, it would have been a problem, but we can do this. We can Tighten that up a bit and give it a cute look. Here, we're gonna leave this one alone. I mean, by itself. And we notice that it's a nice tight edge. Always let yourself be guided by the picture. See, I did it wrong already. It wants it to be smooth. So I want to keep it that way, and I want to add some segments to keep it nice and smooth, which I think that's good. So that's why I never try to do all the beveling of the edges, because they're not all the same. Now this and this can be the same because it's going to be nice and tight. Oops. So we're going to take this and we're going to make it nice and tight. We're going to add 2. And then we're going to 2. Let's leave it there. Let's tighten it up because it's a tight edge, so it doesn't. Yeah, let's give it 3. We're okay with that. And the same thing here is tight edges. Same thing. We're gonna add 3. Oops, 2, 3. Oops. And we're gonna shrink it down as tight as we can. Usually, nothing above 0.2 is workable, so that's fine. It looks nice and tight. So there we are. We have our base. Now we're going to create this section here, the button and USB-C. So let's do so. So this is why I kept the shape and I didn't want to touch it. I'm going to select these 4 squares. Shift period so I get my full circle. I'm going to press R, push it out because it's that wide. Take a look here, make sure you're not messing up your geometry, which it shouldn't. Now here we're gonna press, okay, we're gonna do something else here. We're gonna press W because that's a hole and that has a separate section. So we're gonna press W, shift click and drag in. Detach the components, object mode, mesh separate, and we're gonna bring this out back to the top, modify center pivot, bring this all the way out to about there, a little bit more. Now we're gonna press R, and I'm gonna show you the cool trick. We're gonna push down to about there, right? Edge, double click all the outside edges. Command E, we're gonna offset this all the way across, right? To make sure that it's right against the edge. And then we're gonna try to, oops, what happened here? Okay, I was trying to actually get this to curve a bit. So I think that's good. Object mode W, I'm gonna push it out. That's fine. We're gonna take the edge, we're gonna press W and shift click and push it in. Whoops, what happened here? Edge, W, shift click and drag. Okay, here we go, that's what I needed. Shading X-ray. So we're gonna use it to go as deep as this goes because that's the black base. And if you have any discrepancy, press R and try to align that right there. It's not working. Let's leave it the way it is. So let's take this because that does stand out a little bit, but we can push it in. We can be a little bit more stingy and pop this inside. Now we're gonna have to do face and we're gonna shift. And now that we have that, we're gonna press W. So we have something to push into. Detach that. Object mode. Mesh separate. We're gonna bring this right back out. Modify center the pivot. Push this out and give it some Okay. Now let's hide the button for now. Now here we already have this done. You're gonna double click the edge, shift double click the edge, bevel edge, and we're gonna fix this here. So about there, and add more edges. Object mode, voila. And then you're gonna ungroup everything, edit, ungroup. You're gonna take edit, ungroup. One more time, press G. Now the button should be this, press H. Now the button is the same thing we did with the outside, but now we're gonna push this a little bit out. Edge, double click, W, shift click and drag the button halfway. So if you push it, it hits the inside of the geometry and it can actually go in. So that's good. And now with the edges, you're gonna bevel those edges. And there we have our button and our insert. So right now, guys, I'm gonna continue this in the next tutorial. Right now you know how to do the base. Everything else from here should be straightforward and simple. So I will be making the second one. I hope you enjoyed this first part of making the base, the button, and the insert. I wish you guys a great day, and as always, I am the Rum Soaked Pirate.